Go to the rehearsal location. Excuse me. Enter. It looks fine to me. I have no problem with this space. Hi.
Huh? Lady Farina?
What's Lady Farina doing here?
Hello all. Allow
That's
me
it?
to
There's just
explain.
4 of you? Okay,
As of today,
Jesus.
Lady... Miss Farina will be supporting our production of The Little Oceanid in the role of artistic consultant.
He makes it sound like the Little Mermaid.
These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Farina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no introduction.
You bet! That was the trial of the century!
You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank you enough.
Oh, please don't mention it. We're just here to join in on the fun.
So, you were saying The Little Oceanid?
Yeah, that's the name of our final show. It's an unfinished script left behind by our director. One of our greatest regrets is that she never got to complete it. So, if we can bring it to the stage and make it a successful show, we can all take some solace in that.
Wait, but if it's not finished, then...
Finding an actress was the least of your problems. Like I said, the commission for the actress is not what you should have been posting the commission for.
Yeah, we've been battling issues on every front, trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the story's all about. The protagonist of the story is a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form, despite the protests of her family.
It literally is the Little Mermaid.
She longed to live just like any other human. And sure enough, she found friendship and even love. Everything seemed perfect, but one day, her true identity was exposed, and her world came crashing down around her.
Ah, and instead of turning to sea foam, she disappears into the water, just like the director did.
So far, so good. A classic tale. What happened after that?
That's one of the issues we've been trying to deal with. Unfortunately, this was as far as the director got with her script. We need a proper ending so we can bring this musical to the stage. But people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
We still haven't decided between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
True to life tragedy, because then it's actually the true to life story.
By true to life, you mean the director's sudden disappearance?
Can we call a spade a spade? The doctor's dissolving? It's dissolving, right? Dissolving.
Yeah, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Isn't that what most performers do? It makes it sincere and honest.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment.
They know what they're getting into before they
We have to consider
watch
their
it.
emotional stake in this, not just our own.
Again, as long as they know what the plot is before they go see it and can anticipate it, then they're fine.
And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from 2 of our main actors.
Okay, cool. I was about to say there's just 4 of you. That's physically impossible. But okay, there's 6 of them.
The first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script. But the deadline's passed, and we still haven't heard from him.
And? You mean N?
The other is Villemont, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since. He did write to us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since. So we're not really sure what to make of that.
Why does it matter if he's there for the final performance if he hasn't gone to rehearsal and knows what he's doing?
Although, now that we have Miss Farina helping us, maybe we should take the opportunity to get everyone back together.
What opportunity? What do you mean?
Maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look up to you as a role model.
Oh, stop! all flustered. Although, not in a bad way.
Have I asked this question before? Is Farina now a human being, or is her body still divine in nature? In other words, does she have a human lifespan now, or will she continue to have prolonged life?
I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues you've been facing. But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time to rally the troops.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1. Let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the ending. He went back to Poisson a few days ago. Said that staying in a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the feeling of isolation.
I've already mentioned my feelings on Poisson multiple times in relation to The Little Mermaid. How freaking poetic that he is actually at Poisson. Not only because it means fish, but because of the song La Poisson in Disney's Little Mermaid.
I thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite. A friend in need and all that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Larwick, but didn't the entirety of Fontaine flood not too long ago?
Yeah, maybe he could use some company.
Poisson.
Oh, you don't need to come. You need to start finishing the script, although you have to check on Paul What's-His-Face to check on what his progress has been like. But I think you should work on finishing the script. Is something wrong?
Nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show.
Alas, I do think that is so.
So, allons-y. To Poisson!
Alonzi. Why did you put a Y on that? Allons, vite! Anyway, is that commission's complete? Yay. We're gonna go to Catherine first. Catherine. Oh, my clicking is so imprecise.
Add Astro.
I know I saw you just 2 seconds ago.
Thank you for
But please, give away 20 Primer Gems. Thank you. Take that. We are so not reaching BP this time around. This. Oh, that's right. I meant to wish on the blue banner. 71. I still can't even make it to a failed pity. Because the shop reset, I've got 5 of these bad boys. I don't know if I'm expecting a character. Am I expecting a character? No, I am absolutely not. I got a Barbara? Ugh, jeez. Yep, this is about as riveting as expected. Swell. I'm itching to do that. Anyway, 4 days. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. I don't have all of Yomiya's level up materials. Shit. I have everything but our artifacts. And I haven't even started the Shogun, though I think the Shogun's a pipe dream at this point. I have to choose between the two, and I'm going to pick Yomiya. Plus, as I said, I have all level up materials because I went and got them all. I think I've got them all. I think it's just artifacts that was short. Bloop.
If I remember correctly, this is where he's staying.
Who is it?
It's me. Is the script ready?
You came all the way here for that?
Yeah, well, yes. Rehearsals must start.
Alright. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got some great news.
Nice try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script. I'll be out once I'm done.
Okay then. Looking forward to your masterpiece.
How long is that going to take? Are we just standing here for the next 2 days?
As expected, he's missed the deadline.
The ending is one of the most important parts of the show.
dare I say, the most important part?
Even once he's done, it isn't final until we've all had the chance to read through and make sure we agree on it.
Someone told me they'd just seen you in
Why
Poisson.
are you here?
I assumed it was a case of mistaken identity, but sure enough, here you are. And Farina, too.
I get that it's Poisson, but you literally don't need to be here. This is Farina's quest. Let her do her thing. You can't be here to overshine her.
I was wondering if we might run into her.
So, you're here for Paolo? Looks like he could be a while, so feel free to take a stroll around town in the meantime. I've made all the arrangements already.
What town? Poisson is hardly a town.
Oh, it's okay. We can just wait here.
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds wonderful. We'll take that stroll. Get over here, you! How oblivious are you?
At least Delphi's got her head screwed on straight.
How are things in Poisson now? Any better?
Things are on the mend, but it's a slow process. Some people may never recover from the trauma they experienced.
I'm sorry to hear that. I wish there was something I could do.
Please, must our conversations take such a depressing turn every time we meet?
She feels guilty for not being able to do anything.
We all have painful memories, but we don't have to let them cloud everything we do. And if you're trying to make a new start, perhaps it's best if you don't bring up the past all the time.
Thank you for your words of comfort. You make a very good point. But for now, at least, I think I should stay with the way I'm feeling for a while longer.
It's okay. These things take time. Moving on from a painful experience is easier said than done, which brings me to why I'm here. I thought you should probably know that not everyone here is ready to forgive and forget after the Hydro Archon's inaction in the face of catastrophe.
I mean, at the same time, what exactly is Farina supposed to have accomplished during the specific flooding of Poisson? It happened so quickly, she wouldn't even physically have been able to get there before everybody was dead/evacuated. There's literally nothing Farina could do. She doesn't have teleportation abilities as an Archon, assuming she were a proper Archon. There's literally nothing she could have done, and blaming her is just dumb. I hate when people can't use logic.
To avoid upsetting the peace, I told the townspeople that everyone here is a member of the theater troupe, and that you are just an actress playing the role of Farina. It's not a perfect solution, but hopefully it means you won't have to lie low while you're here.
That's so thoughtful of you, Navia.
Well, what do you expect? I am the courageous and considerate president of Spina di Rosula, after all, like my father before me. Anyway, that was all. Look after her now.
I don't need you to tell me that. Got it.
Off we go then. Let's take a look up there. I don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. You're the closest thing to friends that I have.
We were so close to bonding. Actually, wasn't it right here in Poisson? Yeah, it was. We were so close. I can't believe Farina as she unwinds. This woman doesn't know how to unwind. It doesn't bode well.
I'm so grateful that Miss Navia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her. It's always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything. You can't get around the obstacles without facing them.
So that's why you were nervous when they brought up Poisson.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here. Still, I felt it was something I had to do. As I was saying before, I want to see for myself the things that I never could in the past. I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me, which, of course, I completely understand and accept.
I'd like to reiterate that there's nothing that she could have done even if she were the complete Archon. It's a matter of timing, not ability. Even if she had been the true Archon, she was in the court of Fontaine when it happened. There is no physical way for her to get from the court of Fontaine to Poisson in enough time to have averted any crisis. It's just not physically possible. So all of this anger towards her is so utterly misguided. I guess in hindsight, yeah, okay, you feel a bit annoyed that she can't actually, do anything with water. So even if she had been here, she wouldn't have been able to help. But the point of the matter is that she wasn't here when it happened, and even if she had had the ability, she wasn't had enough time to get here to do anything useful in the first place. You are all being very emotional, and you should not be emotional when logic can override it in this kind of circumstance. You're blaming somebody for something that's actually not their fault. I don't like this. I'm sure some people didn't buy Navia's lie. Literally the entirety of Poisson. Look at them all.
Yeah, I can tell people are watching me.
People are always watching you. What's new?
I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful. I used to be terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion or resentment in their eyes. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this after all.
I'm not surprised you're making yourself go through all of this.
Maybe you've taken on a bit too much in one go. Me too. It's not like you.
What do you mean by that? You expected me to just keep running and hiding from my responsibility forever?
Look, there seems to be a crowd gathering over there.
They're not staying quiet either. Well, I can't
Probably
hear them.
time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rasula's ship? We should have a view of the whole of Poisson from there.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd actually gathered. Game doesn't work like that. We don't have persistent world states. Nah, I don't want that. There are a lot of people on the way up to this ship.
I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll. And here I am dumping all this heavy stuff on you.
We don't mind. It's actually refreshing to see a different side of you.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, so please don't disappear just yet. I don't know whether you can tell, but the years of suffering and loneliness aren't the only reason I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be.
Can I point out how unnatural that sitting position is? I think every time we see it in this game. Keeping your knees together uses actually a lot of muscles, alright? If your feet are diagonal. If your feet are just straight sitting down, like you're sitting normally with your knees together, no effort required. But to have your knees in and the rest of your legs out, that's not exactly a natural person for most people's legs. So this is actually taking more effort to keep your knees together than if you just sat normally. I don't care if this is supposed to look cute, which it really doesn't, but I guess it's what they were going for. It's just not realistic.
As I stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind.
And it's especially unnatural because their legs are hanging. It's one thing if they were sitting with their feet on the ground. Maybe you could be using the pressure of the balls of your feet to keep your knees together. But your feet hanging like this, they're going to be hanging straight. It's called gravity for a reason, you know? Images of rising water out of my mind. You weren't here. I suppose you saw that Fontaine part, didn't you?
One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence in an instant. They thought their god would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm.
I'm going to reiterate that these deities are not full deities. They cannot just teleport at will. They must travel the exact same way as humans.
And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true.
That's the one part I would not feel guilty for. Because had you not done that, everybody's life would have been forfeit from here on and right through to the end of the game. So that's the one thing I would not feel guilty for.
But then the floodwaters finally came, and the Hydro Archon did nothing.
But the Hydro Archon didn't need to do anything, is more the point. There were measures in place to fix the problem, i.e. save the people when the water came up, when it happened.
You shouldn't look at it like that. You were only doing your duty.
Don't be so harsh on yourself.
I've had to go through so many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth. As time went on, it got harder and harder to bear, and I became more lonely and isolated.
Understandable. It was physically impossible for you to tell anybody about what was going on, because if you did, you would screw the entire plan.
Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task, and was haunted by the thought of being left all alone, weeping on my throne. Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst-case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourselves. Everyone rose to their responsibilities, and I finally regained my freedom. But on some level, freedom also means no longer being needed.
True.
I have no further use to people.
Unfortunately, also true.
Paimon would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
How could she not? She had to endure for so many years, Paimon. Think of your freedom as your reward.
A reward?
Because now you can finally speak your heart.
I guess so. Back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to confide in. I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was, and exposing the secret I swore to protect. Believe in the Farina you see on stage. She is the one you can trust. I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself. No one could be allowed to know.
But now you're allowed to be curious. Now you have the capacity to be curious. Embrace it.
That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining relationships.
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
Jesus, Paimon. Ever look beneath the surface?
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's gotten into you today. I'm making an effort here. You could at least try to do the same.
Right? Paimon is so inconsiderate. What Paimon meant to say was she doesn't like to see you so down. Do you feel better having gotten all that off your chest?
I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life again. And even though I have no idea where I'm going right now, at least the choice is in my hands.
Exactly. There is a silver lining.
All right, it's about time to head back. Paulo should have finished the ending by now.
How do you know? You didn't know how far he was from the end.
Sure. Okay, let's head back and check it out.
Could have taken him days, weeks.
Didn't you say you needed to watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips, you know?
Come on. It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's
That's not an
expense.
excuse.
Can you believe how generous she is? I'm not about to pass on free food.
And that's why you're at your current weight, Loic.
Anyway, my character doesn't need to be slim and good looking. That's your job.
Are you kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about, it's yours. I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health, and it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
I don't know that this subplot was necessary,
Oh,
but I
no.
see where she's
Looks
coming
like
from.
They're arguing again. We're back. Could you maybe put your differences aside for a moment?
Ah, you're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Me? I'm an Oceanid too.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he outgrew that role. Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
Why is there a crane and a boar?
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid, yes?
Why is the boar raising a human?
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines too. Like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Ah, he raises the Oceanid, not the human Oceanid. Okay.
Wait, that sounds kind of familiar.
Uh-huh.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy. She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only after she was gone that we realized how tough her job really was.
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like your home.
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me anymore.
Jesus.
I spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes.
How does she know you had a great voice? Were you just randomly singing and she happened to stumble across you? Because that's just a weird series of events.
She took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up. I know it was all a huge burden on her.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
She really was. She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in it. All of us were so proud to call her our director. I was a lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer, my parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by that point. Thought the whole world was out to get me.
Let me guess. Fortunately, the next person you ran into was the director.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group parted ways.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally tuning out. I don't know what they're saying and I don't care what they're saying. It's super irrelevant.
The day you hoped would never come. How times change.
Oh, you're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss Farina.
Farina? The Farina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director. I just wanted to do something to help.
Same here.
Even so, this is just... Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, where was I? Ah,
The
yes,
script?
the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script. I'm sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human, against the wishes of her family. She finds love and friendship in the bustling city. But then, disaster strikes. The people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people begin to panic. The little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it, and investigate the truth of the matter together.
I feel like this is overly, complicated.
In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a consciousness of its own.
Yeah, super convoluted, and this really wasn't the time or place to have commentary on pollution.
Consciousness? You mean the water is sentient?
Water as a conscious entity. There's actually quite a few stories that explore this theme.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit, she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis.
Yeah, but it can't be fixed. You can't fix pollution with a snap of fingers. The population's gonna be dead from lack of water before that happens.
Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her secret. The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water away, and faces the greatest dilemma of her life.
You don't have enough actors to have a mob.
And then?
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover, and the rest of humanity.
Which is fine. We could have had that instead of having the big convoluted plot of finding out why the water is gone and why. I would have just said, hey, the water's gone, so she sacrifices herself, end of story. I think you've just gotten too political with your story and it was unnecessary.
Huh? But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Well, she mainly wanted to save her lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo's character.
There's actually something else that bothers me. You know the protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
That's a terrible ending. Don't do what she says.
That sounds like too cruel of an ending to me. And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director Aureli's death. Both arbitrary and meaningless. On the day when she went missing, Director Aureli had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace.
Unless you're telling me she really was an Oceanid.
We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found.
That's why this was the story she was writing.
Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
The director was the kindest soul in the world. Yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Hasn't a lot of time passed since her death? Like, I'm talking months?
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me.
Oh, so now we're comparing grief. Oh, that's real healthy.
Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with Aureli.
But were you in a relationship?
What? You kept that one quiet.
Yeah, you were in a relationship. I don't put your grief above anybody else's.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but she turned me down pretty much straight away. She said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she'd never considered us as potential romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant attention, well, maybe then she could reconsider what she really wanted in her life. And now, that day will never come.
Paulo.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by O'Reilly. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
In that case, you have to straighten things out with Vilmont once and for all, face to face. We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything. One of them has to compromise if we're ever going to reach a final decision.
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time to go visit Vilmont.
Are you ready to face the truth?
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But for the sake of our final performance, I'll do whatever it takes. Funny you should ask, though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on, everyone. Allons-y!
Why does she keep saying it that way? Is she trying to be all cutesy? Oh boy.